Hello YouTube and welcome to Go Girl Gaming's exploration of the game EverQuest 2 Housing and Crafting. Going to continue on in the early stages of crafting. I am currently at adventure level 5. I have not increased anything yet, so just to show that I am now at a new level cap because of my adventuring for my harvesting skills. So I can now harvest things up to, as in when I harvest them, my level will increase, and then at level 20 it'll stop again. So that is what I'm going to start working on in this video. But I'm going to finish up this last adventure quest for 2 reasons. I have to do some fishing. Notice that these are fish. I have to kill these fish. Now, the fish that you kill for quest chains are completely different than the fish that you need for fishing. And the way you know the difference is that when you are fishing, you will always fish in a school of fish. Whereas fish that are potential enemies or quest items will be individuals. So I'm not going to go all the way out there. I'm actually going to fish somewhere else. But there was a school of fish out here. And right now I'm just there. No, there. Way out there. You see that school of sunfish? That's where I would have to fish to fulfill my quest. But I am instead going to start out with getting some elm lumber. In EverQuest 2, you don't chop down trees, you whack apart large logs that you find laying on the ground. And you'll also see in the chat window on the bottom left that my foresting skill, just as the trainer said in the previous video, is increasing. I am currently 9 of 20. And then of course if you also look at my task board on the right hand side, some of the items I've collected and therefore they are being fulfilled and removing themselves from the task board there. So that is an example of harvesting, and those pretty much look pretty much alike, but there are some variations when it comes to getting the ores and whatnot. So mining some tin clusters and then mine some lead clusters. And there are 2 types of mining nodes, and that's true for every zone that you're in, every zone and subzone. And they'll all have different names, but they'll pretty much look either open like this or closed. Some actually just look like rocks. So basically when you whack on them, if she takes out a mining pick, that's your clue that you're mining something that may give you some metals or some gems or some minerals. And then this stunted roots increase your gathering. And there are lots of crafting recipes that require roots. So basically, if you're going to be into crafting, anything that you see that you can harvest, it's probably a good idea to harvest it. I will probably have a higher tendency to do gathering and foresting, but there are plenty of things in carpentry that require ores and whatnot. So yeah, we'll end up doing it all actually. The only area I might be able to skimp on is fishing. Still haven't run into that second type of mining node yet, but that's okay. Then there's also gardens, which also, like out here, since it's cold, it'll be like frost stunted gardens. And then you gotta find creature dens for the pelts, and you also get meat from those. And this is the second type of cluster in this area. Like I said, some areas, which I'll show you, they just look like rocks. Flat rocks, skinny rocks. Another thing while I'm running around doing this, there's a creature den over there. Is that now that I have started on my way, I have some new mail, and one of those is going to be the quest. This quest, a gathering obsession, is a long quest chain. And it is what it's indicating. It's all about gathering. Now, I'm not going to pick it up just yet, because A, I have to go somewhere else to actually go get it. And B, what I've noticed in this game is whatever quest you have that requires you to gather something, a harvestable, and you can have several of them at one time, it will gather for the first quest that you picked up first. So keep that in mind. I know I was doing on a different tune, I was doing that and I was like expecting it to harvest things for the quest that I was, because I didn't have the quest up, for one thing. I hadn't canceled it, obviously, but I didn't have the quest on my tracking board because I was working on the quest that was to be turned in that area, and it's like, nope, the one you picked up first is the one that's going to satisfy first, so. Not a big deal, just something to keep in mind. And while I am actually here, because this is actually a lot of times a pretty decent spot to go fishing, did I get all of my, I still need some tin clusters, so I got everything I needed from fishing. I mean from the shrubs and whatnot. The other thing that I am going to, that I am going to show you in this game are when events come up, because those are cool. And you see off in the distance there, that circle with like a helicopter blade on top of it. That's part of a event that's going on right now. There's going to be a holiday event coming up shortly as well. I got all my fish, but I'm going to fish this cluster until it's done. Well, there's a nice event that's tied to that, and it will enable me to get a mount now instead of later. Later meaning like adventure level 20 or close to it. And it will also give me some event currency to buy some housing items, which I am going to do and show you, because some of them are quite nice. I bought a couple already on a different tune. And I like it a great deal when you can buy cool things in-game with in-game currency, as opposed to having to try and decide if you want to spend real money for virtual items in a cash shop. So I still have a couple more items, so I'm going to pause momentarily and pick up those items and then turn in the quest. Alright, so I have collected everything that I needed, and now I'm standing in front of the harvesting trainer again to turn in my quest. So as you can see, excellent work learning about harvesting. As a reward, allow me to offer you this box for storing harvested items. It's quite heavy, so I suggest you put it in your bank rather than carrying it, but it has plenty of storage room for harvests. Now this, in previous iterations of EverQuest 2, was actually an issue. This thing was so heavy that it encumbered you and made you walk really slow. But that's not the case anymore, but it doesn't matter. I can't use it as a bag, and it's just better off being in my bank anyway. So I am going to drop it in my bank and then show you real quick how much storage this lovely item has. All that storage. 36 slots just for harvesters. And actually, let me open this back up, because I collected, while I was out there, I collected some rares. Like I said, you can do it real early in the game. So I got some solidified loam and a couple of pieces of copper. And there are some crafting recipes specific to carpentry that I can probably use both of those. And I'm pretty sure the copper one you can. Not sure about the solidified loam. But we will get there when we get there. And that's all I'm going to do with that. I'm not going to move any of the other stuff. I could move the frog legs, but I'm just not going to right now, because for right now, if I'm going to do some crafting, I need to have the materials on me. Which brings us to our first real crafting quest, and you'll be able to see the mini game that is the crafting system in this game. I like it. I think it helps with immersion. It's not like a lot of games where, a lot of MMOs where you can say, okay, craft 100 ingots and then you go wander off somewhere. So if you like immersion, I think this helps with that. So I'm going to talk to Bull the Crafty here. And he says he knows me harvesting out there and asks me if I want to try my hand at making something. So of course, sure. So it's not hard. Just try it. Now, it's not hard. He is correct, but it will get more. The mini game gets more challenging as you increase in level. So I have to pick up the recipe from the table. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit just to make sure you see that glowing piece of paper there. That's the recipe that I'm going to make, and then I'm going to pick up a fuel, because you need fuel to craft things. So I'm going to pick up some coal. Then I'm going to go into my bag and write the recipe down. And now I'm going to open my recipe book with the letter N. And as you can see, I have a recipe now. I did not have one before. I did not show the fact that I didn't have one before. But I did not have one before. What's nice about the recipe book is that there are tons of recipes that you get in this game. This is going to be the fewest that you ever see. Because once I actually go and do the intro crafting quest itself, where you get to try out everything, you get books, and those books have more than one crafting recipe in them. And that's when this search feature comes in handy. So be going through more of that once I get more recipes. Also, this filter comes in handy too. And if you have alts, that's what all these are. Because I haven't created anything for her. There's nothing to create it for. These are from my alts. So your alts filters will also show up. One other thing I do want to point out is all the different things that you can filter on to create your filter. So you can go by trade level skill, you can go by adventure level. Notice they're the same, 105, because that's the level cap right now with Altar of Malice. And then by the technique. So in this case, I'm going to be making a charm. So that's technically a piece of jewelry. So there's the technique is artificing, and then the knowledge is runecraft. The recipe, quote unquote, book is the Lucky Wolf charm, but it's only one recipe in that book. Later on, you'll see it'll be, you know, like artisan recipe book 1, artisan recipe book 2, da da da. Or I can also go by who it can be used by. And I believe there's one more that isn't here yet because I haven't crafted anything yet, but I don't remember quite what that is. So we'll see that later on. So I have the recipe written down, I have the fuel, and I have the 10 that is required. And in this case, I can just use his anvil to craft that. So I clicked on the anvil, and I'm going to click on create, and it will take me to this page. This always happens whenever you craft. It'll take you from the recipe book to if you are where you need to be to craft it. So if you're in front of the correct crafting station and close enough to it, if not, it won't even open to this page. And this is just where you check to make sure that you have everything, because if you don't, you can't do anything. So it'll tell you what the components are and shows you if you have them or not. By the way, it only shows you the component amounts needed. It does not tell you how many you actually have. So like I have more than one 10 cluster, but notice only one is showing up, because all this cares about is whether you have the components for the particular recipe that you want to craft. And then you click on begin. And this is the mini game. And because this is actually going to go quite quickly, I'm not going to explain everything here, but I'm actually just going to wait until we get to the quest chain, which goes into how this works in depth. And there is quite a bit that goes on, particularly later on when there are things called crafting. They're like incidents that go on, but there is a specific name for them. So we will cover that in a later video. So I have finished making my Lucky Wolf Paw charm. And that will give me the If I Had a Hammer quest, which you see on the right hand side. And that is to actually go to the trade skill tutor in one of the major cities that I have access to. So for me, that's going to be New Hallis. I could probably go to Kinos, but there's no point in doing that right now. I know precisely where it is in New Hallis, and that's the zone that I'm in. So that is what we are going to do in the next video. I'll also pick up the quest that is indicated by this letter, where it says, greetings, heard that you've taken an interest in harvesting, can you come help my kid? So I'll be doing that as well. I can take this gift. It's decent. I haven't used it because you only get one charge out of it, and it only lasts an hour. And I always do more than just run around and harvest, so I haven't used one yet. But you can, it's there. But I'm going to just leave it in the mail right now. It's not going to show up on my tracker. It's just something that I have to remember to go and do, because that's over in another spot. So I'm going to go do that in a later video, but we are going to end this one here for now. I'm going to go do some more stuff, and I'll probably in the next video show you the event that's going on, because it's fun. So please like, subscribe, tell a friend. Thanks for watching.